Hello, everyone. This is another story that I felt like needed told. There are too many incidences of these stories happening. So it's very important that we are vigilant, get the stories told. Wisconsin mother and her boyfriend imprisoned two children for years. Let, let me get the. At first, you might not be able to hear me. I think I'll go ahead and read a little bit, and then y'all will be able to hear some videos. I'll go ahead and make sure, put it out there. But who shall offend one of these little ones, which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, that he were drowned in the depths of the sea. Then in Matthew 18:10, take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming. And the copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Thank you. I wish we didn't have to tell these stories. It's a sad situation when we have to go ahead and get these stories out. At the bottom of the screen, it says if you suspect child abuse, call the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1 800 for a child or 1 800 422 4453 or go to www.childhelp.org. All calls are toll-free and confidential. The hotline is in a lot of different languages, and it is a very good place to trust and go to. No, go back to that. Sorry, it's doing the wrong information. Get that out of there. All right. A Wisconsin mother and her boyfriend imprisoned two children for years. Just to set it first, I will be reading some of the literature. I will be playing some of the video shortly after. Somebody's trying to text me now, and I am busy. It's not nobody here, so no worries here. I think I was started with brothers aged 7 and 9 flee Milwaukee house of horrors covered in blood and feces after mom and her boyfriend abused them. First off, the neighbors called 911 after seeing the boys escape the house on July the 13th. The children were described as naked and bloody with hair matted with feces. Mother, Katie Koch, age 34, and her boyfriend, Joel Mankey, age 38, were in court Monday. This was July the 19th, 2023, and it was updated July the 19th, 2023. There's a lot of information about this is going on. Make it bigger right here where y'all can see it better. All right, making sure if y'all want to make comments, I'm having trouble seeing the comments also from from Facebook. So if you want to come, please make a comment. If you got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them the best of my ability. A Milwaukee mother has been in court after her two young sons were spotted escaping a house of horrors where she and her boyfriend allegedly imprisoned them for years. To make it bigger, because I want to get away those sales ads at the side. Neighbors described seeing the boys aged 7 and 9 naked and covered in blood as they moved like cavemen who had never seen the sun after they broke free through the shattered window last week. Their mother, Katie Koch, 34, is facing 4 felony counts, and 2 misdemeanors connected with child neglect and false imprisonment, while her boyfriend, Joel Mankey, 38, is charged with 4 felony counts, according to WJDJT. Here is the mother and the mother's boyfriend right here. It said, police. Coach was filmed looking upset in a subsequent court hearing as the prosecutor outlined the abuse and neglect she's accused of inflicting on her children. Police who responded to a 911 call from nearby residents in the Lakeside East Wisconsin city said the house was so crammed with belongings that the floor was not visible, describing it as a terrible hoarding situation. Neighbors first spotted her children, whose hair was matted with feces, peering through a shattered window on July 13th. Here's the mom, Katie Koch, age 34, is facing 4 felony counts and 2 misdemeanors connected to child neglect and false imprisonment, while her boyfriend, Joel Mankey, 38, is charged with 4 felony counts. There's the mother right there. Look at that sad disgust. You're disgusted. On Monday, Koch appeared at Milwaukee County Intake Court, where the assistant district attorney described the living conditions as like something out of a horror movie. There is the home in which they were at. Here's pictured House of Horrors where the boys aged 7 and 9 escaped naked and covered in blood with hair matted by pieces after breaking free via a shattered window last week. They said the boys climbed through the window onto the air conditioning unit before jumping into the yard and walking down the street stark naked. One neighbor said the boys were acting like cavemen, like they had never seen the sun before, WJDT reported. Another resident on the street, Christine Eder, said the children looked like they had never been outside. They were just walking different, Eder said. The hair looked like it had never been brushed, never been cut. They didn't know the outside existed. Eder said the detached house is normally quiet, and she had not seen anyone go in and out before, let alone her children. She was taken aback by the scene unfolding outside the normally unremarkable home, and she kept watch over the boys while her husband called 911. On Monday, Coach appeared at Milwaukee County Intake Court, where the assistant district attorney described the living conditions as like something out of a horror movie, WJDT said. Milwaukee County Assistant District Attorney Mallory Davis said the boys had been imprisoned in their rooms where the windows were boarded up. Wow. And the doors locked from the outside. So, yes, they were imprisoned. Officers who were called to the home described it as a terrible hoarding situation, where the floor was not even visible due to the accumulation of belongings. The conditions were so bad that the children's heads had to be shaved because of the hair was matted with feces. These children have been horribly damaged from their mother's actions, David says. They are completely uneducated. They are not potty trained, even at their ages. They are essentially, at this point, unable to function in society. Mankey, who sports long hair and a thick ginger beard, told investigators he has lived in the house since 2007, while Coach said she moved in with her children around 4 years ago. So let's get the pictures of them as it described them again. That's how they look. Wow. During the police interview, Mackey said he knew the living conditions were not good for the children. Why didn't you do something? But he had to pick his battles with Koch to avoid arguments. So basically, it was the mother's doing, but he had to pick his battles. Why did you not call ECS? Why did you not do that from the start? Why? He added that children had never seen a doctor or been to school over the 4 years they had lived under his roof as Coach homeschooled them. Koch's hair was badly matted in her police mugshots, who admitted that the home is not habitable and said her boys deserve better. Then why did you treat them that way? Why? Yes, they deserve better. Just because you're saying that don't mean you didn't do anything to protect them, according to WDJT. Kutch has been set at a $30,000 cash bail, which officials have said she is not able to pay. Mankey's cash bail was set at 6,500, and it's unclear if he has paid it yet. If convicted of all the charges, they each face prison terms up to 43 years and fines up to $120,000. Coach could be sentenced to an additional 20,000 in fines and 18 months in prison for two misdemeanor counts. Their preliminary hearings are set for July the 26th. This is where neighbor Christine Etter said the children looked like they had never been outside. The hair looked like it never been brushed, she said. I got to minimize the screen a little bit. Get that out of here. The next one says right here. Top couple charged with imprisonment. These children have been horribly damaged from their mother's actions. On Monday, Koch appeared at Milwaukee County Intake Court, where the assistant district the conditions are like something out of a horror movie, which we had heard him say that. And go back to out of that picture thing. All right. So it said this it's out of a horror story, right? Neighbor said the children looked like they'd never been out of the sun, into the sun. Sorry, out of the house. Let me get and start playing the video for you all. Like I said, I do not mind showing how I go about doing the videos because if you ever had StreamYard, you know that this is the way you do it. It would end up muting me temporarily while I do this. So push the audio, go into stereo.
back and we are better than ever.
Our top story tonight, a Milwaukee mother and her boyfriend face decades in prison after allegedly imprisoning her children in their home for years.
The two boys are now in protective custody tonight after neighbors found them wandering the streets naked and covered in blood.
CBS 58's Adam Reif is live in that neighborhood tonight with a look at what we know so far. Adam?
Natalie Jessup, today neighbors told me they didn't even know people lived in this White House behind me because they never saw people go in or out until last Thursday when 7- and 9-year-old brothers jumped through a shattered window in the rear of the home. That's when the neighbors called 911 as the boys stumbled naked through the streets.
They had never been outside before. If they have been, it's been a very long time.
Christine Ader said it took a moment for her to process what she was seeing when two boys stumbled away from a usually quiet home across the street last Thursday.
They were just walking different. Their hair looked like it had never been brushed, never been cut. They didn't know the outside existed.
The boys were naked and there was blood. Her husband called 911 while she kept eyes on the boys.
It's really terrible. It's like something out of a horror movie.
34-year-old Katie Koch is now facing 4 felony counts and 2 misdemeanor counts related to the false imprisonment and neglect of a child. 38-year-old Joel Mankey is facing 4 felony counts.
What do you know about the couple who lived there?
Absolutely nothing. I never saw her or him ever.
Mankey said he's lived in the home since 2007. Cox said she and the children moved in about 4 years ago. The kitchen and living room were piled with garbage, and the smell of feces and urine filled the home. Trash was also piled outside the children's room, which locked from the outside. Inside, the walls were smeared with feces.
A child witness described them as acting like cavemen, like they had never seen the sun before.
In an interview with investigators, Mankey said Koch had never taken the children to a doctor in the years she had lived with him, nor had they been to a school in that time. Koch told investigators that she homeschooled the children. She also, quote, admitted that the home is not habitable and said, quote, her boys deserve better.
These children have been permanently damaged from their mother's actions. They are completely uneducated. They are not potty trained, even at their ages. They are essentially at this point unable to function in society.
Now, Katie Koch's cash bail was set at $30,000 today, though a public defender says she has no way of paying that amount. Joel Mankey's cash bail was set at $6,500. Both of them have preliminary hearings July 26. Now, if convicted of all 4 felony charges, the maximum penalties are $120,000 fines and 42.5 years in prison. Koch faces an additional $20,000 in fines and 18 months in prison for her 2 misdemeanor charges. Live here in Milwaukee, Adam Reif, CBS 58 News.
Okay, so I went ahead and I'm bringing it up, this part of the story. Okay. Let you know that it said Milwaukee House of Horrors mother faked happy family life with her 2 boys. Hello, yeah, it is horrible. She faked happy family life with her 2 boys, ages 7 and 9, on social media. That's where the boys had escaped July the 13th. The boys, aged 7 and 9, smashed a window and fled naked and disheveled. Prosecutors said their house was out of a horror movie. Koch and her sons had lived at the house for 4 years, but social media photos showed the four on a happy road trip, hugging their grandmother and playing. This was updated July the 21st. Give credit where credit is due at dailymail.com. Harriet Alexander. It said a Milwaukee mother charged with child neglect and imprisonment after her two sons escaped from their horror movie home, shared glossy photos of her family online, while in reality the boys were living in squalor. Katie Koch, 34, and her boyfriend Joel Mankey, 38, were both arrested after the boys, aged 7 and 9, smashed a window on their home on July the 13th and escaped naked and bedraggled. One witness said the little boys acted like cavemen who had never seen the sun as they roamed the street. Yet Koch used her Instagram account to paint a very different picture, showing a happy family with the boys spent time with their grandmother, played in the snow, enjoyed baking and decorating for Christmas, and went on fun, excuse me, road trips. But look how well she's dressed for herself and stuff. Why couldn't she take care of the boys in that manner? Okay, Mankey told investigators he had lived in the house since 2007. Yeah, well, Coach said she moved in with her children around 4 years ago. He first appeared on her social media in October 2019, at approximately the same time Coach and her children moved in with him. For Halloween that year, the family dressed up, Mankey and Coach in onesies, and one of the children in Paw Patrol outfit with a relative dressed as a ladybug. In November 2019, Coach showed off her son Chase's baking skills, posting images of a seemingly delighted child with a tray of brightly colored cupcakes. Over the holidays in 2019, one son was depicted decorating a house with Christmas garlands, another in Happy New Year outfit. The wholesome family images continued throughout 2020. The boys were shown playing in the snow, and Coach praised Mankey as a wonderful stepfather. Poor little boys. And another photo, the child is seen hanging garlands to celebrate Christmas. That's where they're playing in the snow right here. See that? And then Boho Gypsy says, family isn't always blood. It's the people in your life who want you and theirs. The ones who accept you for who you are, the ones who would do anything to see you smile, and who love you no matter what. It takes a strong man to accept somebody else's children and step up to the plate another man left on the table. But that was a false. That was false, y'all. That was false. I don't know if they've always been treated that bad or whatever, but this was a fake account of how the family really were. I guess trying to be where people don't ask questions or whatever. That's probably what happened. In June 2020, the boys were pictured rushing to hug their grandmother, throwing themselves into her arms. 4 months later, the family celebrated Dominic's fifth birthday with balloons and fun costumes. Her last photos of the children were posted in January 2021, celebrating Mankey's 36th birthday. Hippo birdie to you, my love. I'm so blessed to know you, all of you, for who you really truly are. She wrote, accompanied by photos of Mankey with the boys and her. You are an amazing man, best friend, daddy to our boys and all of our fur babies, and every single other role that you fulfill. May 36 be the best year yet. Here's to many, 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 many years. More years, Odin. The last photo she posted of herself was a month later. Her final post was in January this year and featured a series of goth memes. Who knows what those poor kids have been through exactly? Investigators said the boys appeared to have been living in squalor for years as they were not toilet trained and they had not had a haircut or seen a doctor since 2019. Cox homeschooled her sons. During a police interview, Mackey said he knew the living conditions were not good for the children, but he had to pick his battles with Coach to avoid arguments. Pick his battles? Excuse me, what about protecting the kids? You're afraid to argue with her, but you're letting her do these kids that way? Excuse me? You're letting her disrupt your house you lived in with feces and everything else? Excuse me? Pick your battles? Man, Coach was filmed looking upset in a secret court hearing as the prosecutor outlined the abuse and neglect she is accused of inflicting on her children. Police who responded to a 911 call from nearby residents in the lakeside East Wisconsin city said the house was so crammed with belongings that the floor was not visible, describing it as a terrible, hoarded situation. See, they kept all their garbage and threw it all around the house too. They didn't. Nobody knew. Nobody seen them outside or anything. That's kind of odd, wouldn't you think? Because you bring groceries in and out of the house and stuff. I think that's kind of odd, and none of the neighbors ever seen anybody there. Neighbors first spotted her children, whose hair was matted with feces, peering through a shattered window on July the 13th. Yet she herself was saying the kids did not deserve living in that her kids didn't. So why did she treat them that way? Then on Monday, Koch appeared at Milwaukee County Intake Court, where the assistant district attorney described the living conditions as something like out of a horror movie. There's the house where they live. House of Horrors, where the boys aged 7 and 9 escaped naked and covered in blood, with hair matted by feces after breaking free via a shattered window last week. They said the boys climbed through the window onto an air conditioning unit before jumping into the yard and walking down the street stark naked. A resident on the street, Christine Eder, said the children looked they had never been outside. They were just walking different, Eder said. The hair looked like it had never been brushed, never been cut. They didn't know the outside existed, which of course I'm sure they did because they had pictures of them playing in the snow. And that's probably why they wanted to break free. They were living all that stench and the stink and everything was horrid. Eder said the detached house is normally quiet and she had not seen anyone go in and out before, let alone her children. She was taken aback by the scene unfolding outside the normally unremarkable home, and she kept watch over the boys while her husband called 911. I thank God that her husband had and her had stepped forward and called the police. On Monday, Koch appeared at Milwaukee County Intake Court, where the assistant district attorney described the living conditions as like something out of a horror movie. Mallory Davis said the boys had been imprisoned in their rooms, where the windows were boarded up and the doors were locked from the outside. The conditions were so bad that the children's heads had to be shaved because their hair was matted with feces. These children have been horribly damaged from their mother's actions, David said. They're completely uneducated. They are not potty trained, even at their ages. They are essentially at this point unable to function in society. Coach, whose hair was also badly matted in her police mugshots, also admitted that the home is not habitable and said her boys deserve better. Like neighbor Christine Etter said the children looked they'd never been outside. They were just walking different. The hair looked like it had never been brushed. This lady right here, Mallory Davis, said that these children have been horribly damaged from their mother's actions. Milwaukee County Assistant District Attorney Mallory Davis. So she is the assistant district attorney. Duck had to set up a bail at 30,000 cash bail, which officials have said she is not able to pay. Mankey's cash bail was set at 6,500, and it is unclear if he has paid it. If convicted of all the charges, they each face prison terms of up to 43 years and fines up to 120,000. Koch could be sentenced to an additional 20,000 in fines and 18 months in prison for the two misdemeanor counts. The preliminary hearings are set for July the 26th. Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson said he hopes those responsible for the terrible treatment of the children see justice. I'm glad that those children were able to escape. It's a terrible, unfortunate situation, he said. No kid should have to endure that sort of experience, especially not with relatives of theirs in any home, in any community in Milwaukee or Wisconsin or the United States. I hope those people who are responsible, their parents, see some justice on this. And the last I got on this, oh, that's on that other one, okay? But I'll be doing another live in a little while, and it'll be about the little boy that was killed here in Shelbyville, Tennessee, by his mother. She strangled him. She confessed, so you cannot say that it was alleged. But anyway, we need to make sure to get the words out there. We need to be hyper vigilant. Those poor kids, we don't know what all they've been through, you know? They could have been even potty trained prior, you know what I'm saying? But then she stopped it. We don't know. I'm wondering what happened with the grandmother who the kids had seen before and they went running to. I wonder where she went. All these questions asked. I hope she didn't die from COVID or something and then daughter just was doing what she did. Because it seems like she was putting up a facade for that person, for Instagram, try to portray herself as a good mother. Another another thing like this is like, where was the daddy, the true daddy? Was it one of these cases where she was trying to say that the daddy was bad and the daddy had no way of contacting kids whatsoever? I hope the other people in his life, these kids' lives, can step up and help them to heal from this trauma. These poor kids. Evidently, when the mother was homeschooling them, she did not even teach them. It's probably just getting checks for them from the kids. It's a horrible situation. Thank you so much for being here, Be Young. I really do appreciate you. And keep hyper vigilant on help bringing awareness. This is happening too often to our children. This is another good story in a way. The way the story is good is the boys escaped. The boys escaped and got help. Thank God for these little boys that did that. So they're smarter than what their mother give them credit for. And they do deserve a lot better than being with her. That is for sure. I say thank you and God bless.